Leonie Dawson refuses to be categorized. The podcast. I was being interviewed by somebody the other week, and they said that my intro is the very favourite part. Is their very favourite part of this podcast, and I thought, well, I'm never ever going to let it go. She's like, if you ever get one of those professional intros done, I'm going to just be so disappointed. So fear not, my loves, I will never get my shit together enough to get one of those professional intros. And also, I don't even want to get my shit together enough to get a professional intro. I just want to talk shit with you, and I want to make silly songs with you, and sometimes the tune's going to change, and that's all right. So today I'm going to be talking with you about a very controversial topic. Why me and my business aren't doing social media anymore. If you would like to read this or see some of the graphics that are included, you can go to leoniedawson.com/no social 2. So 2 with the number, no social 2. You can go to No Social if you want, but that's like the first, it's like a very short version of this post, and then I created it just because like I had to fit within the Instagram word limit, and that annoyed me so much, and it just shit me. I mean, I fucking hate word limits, I really do. Like, how dare you try and constrain my magnificent wildebeest ways? I've got things to say. I have random tangents to go on. I have more thoughts, motherfuckers. So I'm going to turn this into an extended version, include all my thoughts, and then I will feel complete. So as I've alluded to, I have now formally left social media for my business, and I've already shuttered my personal profile. If, however, you are attached to me, like on my private account, you can still text me on Messenger. I'm still using Messenger, but I don't actually use the Facebook interface anymore. So in this post, I'm going to share with you why I'm doing it, if I'll be going back, and the best way for you to keep hearing from me. So 6 weeks ago, I decided to embark on a series of 21-day challenges. You can go to leoniedawson.com/21day to read all about the beginning of that experiment. And you can also go to leoniedawson.com/21day log to find the daily posts that I've written about those challenges. Anyway, the first one I chose to do was to go without social media for 21 days. And I have just clicked the wrong button and I can't see what I was going to say. Oh no, I'm back. Here we go. Anyway, look, here's the thing. Like, I've long been feeling ambivalent and conflicted and cranky about social media. I found a graphic that I had done, like a page in my journal, back in 2015, and it said, I miss the quiet space that lived in my mind before the internet began. And that was the most popular image that I shared that year. And then I even did an internet addiction illustrated zine in 2016. I took a 6-month hiatus from social media in 2017. It was only supposed to go for a month, but it just felt so good that I continued. And then I did a viral blog post in 2029 about why businesses are quitting social media as well. I mean, here's the thing. I feel like I've been trying to talk myself into getting social media sober for years. I've known that this is not a good thing for me. But I'll be honest, like, I felt extremely nervous about doing the challenge. I genuinely didn't feel like I was going to cope without it for some strange reason. And I realize now that was the addiction talking. So here's what I found from feeling the fear and doing it anyway. My life is so much better without social media. I am happier, I'm more content, I'm more creative. I feel wildly inspired in a way I haven't in years. I feel more present. I have so much time back, time that can be spent doing things I truly love doing. And I'm not kidding when I tell you that I have literally felt my brain healing over the last 6 weeks. My heart, my soul, my art, all of it glistens with life again. I thought this beautiful life of mine, my quiet mind before the internet began, I thought that it was gone. I thought it was disappeared without a trace. But it wasn't. It was right there waiting for me. I just had to give up social media to be able to see it again. Here's the thing, in this time without social media, I have made memories. And I very much doubt that I would have made those memories if I was not sober from social media. And the research tells us this. Social media is literally robbing our capacity to develop short-term memories and therefore long-term memories. It is literally stealing our memories. So some moments that I will always remember from the first few weeks of social media is my eldest kid and I played Catan for 3 days straight. And I didn't look at my phone once, and it was by far the best 3 days of parenting I've ever done. And I also remember us standing as a family in our backyard watching a migration of thousands of bats at sunset in our backyard. We've since discovered that this area has hundreds of thousands of fruit bats that migrate every night, and when we're lucky, they will fly over our backyard and we get to see them. 2 books that deeply influenced me during this time is Digital Minimalism by Cal Newport and How to Break Up with Your Phone by Catherine Price, sorry. And most of all, I just feel more like myself and more alive than I have for a long time. I just don't know how I can go back now that I'm sober. Not now I know how bad it was and how good it feels to be free. So first and foremost, I am quitting social media for my business because I'm doing this for my one wild and precious life. I'm doing this because I believe that what is good for my creativity is what is best for my business. I'm doing this because I am a better creative, wife, mother, and friend without social media. I'm doing this because I now know that multiple studies on social media have concluded conclusively that social media has negative effects on anxiety, stress, depression, neuroticism, self-esteem, empathy, self-identity and self-image, sleep problems, our children's mental health, democracy, public health through the rise of conspiracy theories, and our privacy. If you want to read more about those statistics, you can read How to Break Up with Your Phone by Catherine Price and 10 Arguments for Deleting Your Social Media Accounts Now. I mean, when you look at that list, that is fucked up. I truly believe that social media is the biggest scam of the last century. The fact that 1 or 2 companies, well, 1 because 1 owns 2, now purposefully steal hours and hours out of our day from the lives of billions of people, knowing full well that it fucks you mentally and emotionally and physically. And what's more, they're putting so much time and research into how they can make it even more addictive. Why are we not screaming about the levels of addiction that are rife in the world now because of social media? I personally believe that it would be out of integrity for me to market using social media now that I know how damaging it is to people's brains and spirits. Now, here's the thing. Do I think it's unethical for you to market using social media? Definitely not. I'll talk more about that in a second. But all I'm talking about is me and my journey and what I feel is right for me and my business going forward. What's more, I am doing this because my best work has never, ever, ever been on social media. My best work has always been in blogging and writing long-form articles, writing books and creating programs. Since December, I have been regularly blogging again, and it's like falling in love again with my first love. This is where I belong. This is where I can serve and help people. I don't give a fuck if people say blogging is dead or if they say email is dead. It's important and it's useful work, and it's the place I can do my best work in. I will not die at the end of my life and think, did I create my best social media work? No, I'll think it's a fucking waste of time. Do I think blogging and writing books and creating programs and training for people, do I feel like that is a valid use of my precious life hours? Abso-fucking-lutely. And here's the thing, right? Like blogging, really, it's the original social media, except it's owned by you and it can't be taken away from you. It's your creative playground that you are completely in charge of, and you are not at the whims of a beast that legitimately wants to suck all of your life and money out of you. Social media isn't here to truly serve our needs. It has its own intentions, and they don't align with you having a spacious and glorious life. The equation for me is really simple. Leonie plus blogging and creating in the ways that are my best work, it feels like miracles and unicorns. It feels like, yay, watch me fly. But Leonie plus social media, it feels like fucking sadness and disappointment. Watch me waste my precious life hours on this bullshit and never feel like I have done my good and true and my life's work. Also, I had a look at my statistics, and for me and my website, my traffic sources for the last year, only 20% came from social media, which is crazy considering how much social media takes up more than 20% of my brain power and time and that of my assistant. We estimated that we were spending at least 80% of our marketing activity on social media, and we weren't getting the results. Like, you think about Pareto's rules that 20% of your actions create 80% of your results. Also, there's something that takes up 80% of your time, but only gives you 20% of the results. And in my case, that's social media. Clearly, that's a really fucked equation, and it is absolutely not worth it for me. And the intriguing question for me is, what could I do instead of endlessly creating more content for less traction on social media? What could I create outside of that environment? And I think I'm capable of some pretty fucking amazing things, and I'm excited to see what I make now that my life has opened up. I love these two quotes from Digital Minimalism by Cal Newport. It's easy to be seduced by the small amount of profits offered by the latest app or service, but then forget its cost in terms of the most important resource we possess, the minutes of our life. How much of your time and attention, Thoreau would ask, must be sacrificed to earn the small profit of occasional connections and new ideas that's earned by cultivating a significant presence on Twitter, for example? So assume, for example, that your Twitter habit effectively consumes 10 hours per week. Thoreau would note that this cost is almost certainly way too high for the limited benefits it returns. If you value new connections and exposure to interesting ideas, he might argue, why not adopt a habit of attending an interesting talk or an event every month and forcing yourself to chat with at least 3 people while you're there? This would produce similar types of value, but consume only a few hours of your life per month, leaving you with an extra 37 hours, a full-time week's work, to dedicate to other meaningful pursuits. Fuck, I love that book. Will I ever go back to social media? Look, honestly, I doubt it. Life and business are just so much better without them. But of course, if in 3 months or 12 months' time I've discovered I've made an awful mistake, I'll happily admit it and come crawling back and tell you I was wrong. But I don't think I am, and I truly don't think I will. We currently do have some Facebook groups. We're still testing and considering other options. I'm not sure what the answer is to that, though. I'll let you know once it's all confirmed and decided. We're still testing some other platforms. So, do I recommend cutting social media as what all businesses should do? No, here's what I recommend you do. 1, review your traffic sources and see where your traffic and sales comes from. You can more accurately decide what risk you can take on from there. 2, do what I have always suggested you do. Have a strong plan to get people off your social media and on to your mailing list. 3, build external traffic that is not social media related so that you can wean yourself off it. And 4, decide on a social media traffic percent that you are comfortable shutting off from. You might decide, like I did, to trial and experiment and find a better social media marketing fit for your business. So some options. You could batch create content and schedule it using a social media scheduler app. You could have strong boundaries around only accessing your social media 1 to 2 times a day for 10 minutes at a time to answer messages instead of spending all fucking day on there. You could regularly have no social media days throughout the week. You could start investing more and more work time into non-social media marketing activities. You could decide to take a week to a month off of social media and test the results. You could see what happens. You can see how it feels and what the results are. You are in charge here. You are powerful and you get to decide your business going forward. And here's the thing, I absolutely recognize that I'm privileged. I have already spent over a decade intentionally and consistently building my mailing list outside of social media. And I've got a strong company savings buffer. So if my experiment goes tits up, I have time to be able to pivot and fix without much stress. But I don't think I'll need to, and I don't think I will. And here's the thing I've been saying all along, guys. I've been saying this since like 2012. Social media is not the numbers that you need to concentrate on growing. It's your mailing list. It's your mailing list. It's your mailing list. Put more time into building that. That is a strong and good asset for your business. Building a social media following is not building a strong and sustainable asset for your business. So building your business on social media is absolutely inherently risky. You are building your kingdom and your castle on earthquake-ridden sand that does not belong to you. That's crazy, right? Your followers can be taken from you in an instant. Your business can be taken from you in an instant. And anyone who has gone through major algorithm changes will attest to the fact that they cannot rely on the same income because they can just get slapped the next day. You do not get to take your followers with you or control how many you can contact. And increasingly, you're going to need to pay more and more and spend more and more time for the privilege of having your fans and clients hear from you. Hot tip, guys, what social media companies want from you as a business owner is to spend as much time and energy as possible in creating free content for their platform. They want you to use absolutely every single one of their features with as much time as possible in order to reward you for the gift of some of your followers being able to hear from you. It is fucked. Now here's the thing, like reality check here. Remember that businesses have been growing for thousands and thousands of years. Social media has only been around for a decade. So many businesses are still wildly successful without social media. And even when you are doing social media, it can be really difficult to quantify exactly how many sales it gives you. Remember, social media is just one of thousands of different marketing methods. It's kind of bonkerdoodles that no other marketing methods are considered mandatory, but we've started to think that social media is. So, for example, one thing that a lot of businesses used to do is use like the yellow pages to put an ad in it or whatever. Was it mandatory for your business to do that? No, there's still plenty of other ways for people to find out about you and for you to grow your business. Nothing is essential. Nothing is mandatory. Like, you can build your business in 1,000 different marketing ways. So, with all that said, I don't want this to be goodbye forever between you and me. I am still going to be turning up to create and share and help people. And I would love to keep supporting you with loads of free goodies and continue sharing my life with you. And the best way to do that is through my emails. I send 2 kinds of email newsletters. Firstly, I send daily-ish emails with everything I create. That's a new thing that I've I've only started offering this year. And there's already about 1,000 people who get those. They're completely free. If you go to leoniedawson.com/daily, you can sign up for those there. And you can also just get weekly-ish emails with the best of what I've created. And I've been sending that newsletter for over 13 years to about 50,000 people. If you go to leoniedawson.com/love-letters, you can sign up for those free there. And I absolutely make sure that they are the funniest, most inspiring part of your inbox, the email that you can't wait to read. They are all about creativity and business and marketing and parenting and books and soul. And here's the thing, I don't have a relationship with my customers that's like a 30, a 60, a 90 day customer retention cycle. My people, when they're in my world, they tend to stay with me for not just months, but years and even decades. I still have clients and people on my newsletter that signed up the very day I started creating it, that back in like 2005 or so. I still have clients that and fans and readers that I met through a message board nearly 20 years ago. I love when I when I email and say, hey, just let me know how many years you've been reading. And so many people will say, I have been reading since 2008. I've been reading since 2012. I've been reading this since 2014. And I got to meet you twice in these events. And I remember them because I love meeting you all personally. This is a community and a circle, and I just treasure and honor your friendship so much. And I love that I get to share my life with you. I truly do. It feels like one of the most biggest blessings in my life, and it's absolutely what I was born to do. So thank you for being who you are. Thank you for being a part of my world and my life. And thank you for being on this brave and magnificent earth. I'm so glad that we're walking this rare and wild path together. And yes, I'm absolutely going to share everything I learn about marketing businesses without social media as I go. What a big topic, hey? I hope this has given you some food for thought, and I'd love to hear what you think. leoniedawson.com. Come on over, send me an email. Go read some blogs, sign up for those newsletters, and let's continue to commit to creating a truly magical and precious life for ourselves. Life, glorious life, and you are here on Leonie Dawson Refuses to Be Categorized, the podcast. My loves, I wanted to share with you about this absolutely hysterical and wonderful thing I did. So, when I was reading Digital Minimalism, yes, I have mentioned that 3,000 times in the last couple of months. You're welcome. Yes, I am a massive fangirl. You're welcome. Anyway, there was this one story that kind of took my interest. I'll paraphrase it and completely mangle it, but, the sentiment still counts. Sorry, Cal Newport. Anyway, this woman decides to cut out social media from her life, and instead she decided to spend the time she usually spent scrolling, going for walks instead, and having long phone conversations with her friends. Now, call me an absolute numpty, but it flew open a world of possibilities in me. We can still do that? We can still have that life? It's not over? I don't know when I stopped realizing that. Was it when the pandemic happened, or was it when I had kids, or was it just a slow, insidious slide into the world of social media? I don't know, and I don't like that it happened, so I decided right then and there to bring it back. And then I consulted my Bible, which is More Than a Woman by Caitlin Moran. Every woman over the age of 35 needs to read this genius tome. If you're under the age of 35, you might want to start with How to Be a Woman. However, if you've seen some absolute shit and been through some trauma, then absolutely go read More Than a Woman. Anyway, I've loved both of them. Anyway, this is going to be a really long quote, but it's worth it. And if it makes you go out and buy More Than a Woman, which you absolutely should, and then buy multiple copies to give to every single woman in your life, you absolutely should. Now, I'm going to say something a little bit controversial, but I think More Than a Woman is about 3,000 times better than Untamed by Glennon Doyle. And I love Glennon Doyle. I love Glennon Doyle. But More Than a Woman by Caitlin Moran, like, get out of here. Amazing. 10 out of 10 perfection. Anyway, St. Cat says, these are your hag years, and they are glorious. We think of hag as a bad word, like so many words associated with women, like fat, or slut, or bossy, but hags are cool, man. Consider the hag archetype through history. When life expectancy barely reached 50 and once a woman was no longer a bride nor a mother, she entered her hag years until she died. Hags lived slightly apart from the towns and villages, in a cave or some witchy cottage in the woods. They tended their herb gardens or mixed their medicines and were surrounded by their animals. Dogs, cats, particularly clever and charismatic crows. They wore a cape and had a stick to poke things with, and they'd roam around engaged in mysterious hag activities like talking to trees or doing weird rituals by streams and lakes. They'd be the only women callow young youths would be scared of, fostering a kind of useful irascibleness, I don't know how to say that, that prevented all but the boldest from getting up in their grill and wasting their time. When trouble struck the wider community, in the end the villagers would always end up having to bravely go and consult the hag, who would then provide them with a medicine or provide wise counsel or tell a story from days of yore that provided a solution to the current problem. And every so often they'd meet up with their coven of fellow hags and spend all night cackling in a way that terrified everyone else. This, I note, in the 21st century is exactly the life I am living now. I have gone hag. Observe my day now in my hag years. I'm living a hag life. She goes on to say later in the book, when you are middle-aged, you find other middle-aged women inescapably more glorious than any other kind of person. You may love the men and the younger people passionately, but it is only with the rest of your kind that you feel you can assume your true form, sharing stories and laughing hysterically about things in a way that could, yes, be described by others, passing fearfully by as cackling. We like to meet away from other people. Were it warm enough, we would probably meet in the woods and dance naked around a fire, but as this is Britain in September, we all go to my shed at the bottom of the garden, where we gather around a single bottle of wine that will last us all night. No one in this shed has enzymes for alcohol anymore, but we don't need them. For you can get drunk on the right people when you're older, and these are the right people. Covens are where middle-aged women withdraw from the world to be with those who have, like them, gone through abortion, death, miscarriage, nervous breakdowns, funerals, unemployment, poverty, fear, hospital appointments, and broken hearts, where they sometimes weep and comfort each other, but more often make jokes so pitch black they can only be laughed at by a fellow hag. In your coven you attend to your busy, vital hag work, drawing up the list of idiots to curse and heroes to bless, forming your battle plans and schedules, scheming the downfall of arse-hats and the uprising of the righteous. You do this in a place where non-hags can't hear you because hag club takes a lifetime to join. And it is here where you launch into the comic routines that leave your ribs bruised from laughing the next morning. The bellyache of pain that only comes from other hags being truthful about their lives. The husband sneezing and the hormones raging and the bosses perving and the children being a delightful challenge. This is where you realize there is a whole book full of truths about being middle-aged that you have only ever heard spoken and never read. I keep notes on where our conversations span in a single night. Socks, socialism, anal sex, first loves, what we would do in widowhood, whether to buy a fake fur galette, how to get a pay rise, where the best trees are, kettling, communes, Botox, sertraline, sexism in its many forms, and the glory of Nora Ephron. This is where, one night in our coven, we find the origin of the word witch. In Old English, it means the thin, whippy branches that can be used to bind things. Baskets, fences, boats, together, which is a binding thing. And without it, things fall apart. We are witches. Fuck me, how good is she? I could just keep on reading her to you all day and all night because you need this woman in your life. We need this woman. Anyway, that inspo, that's when I decided I needed to not only prioritize real life connections, but I needed to gather the glorious hags. I wrote a few months ago, I want to create some kind of ridiculous regular friend event. I used to do these all the time when I was child free. I'd email a big bunch of random friends and issue ridiculous missions like meet us at park at 12:30 to frolic because it's finally 25 degrees and spring is here, bitches. And I would, in fact, force them to frolic. Or, you are hereby invited to eat Thai food, but only if you bring 3 small pieces of paper with secrets written on them. And they will be added to the pink hat of secrets, and we will be taking turns reading out other people's secrets over lunch. And non-secret sharers will not be admitted. And this merry group of good humans would show up. People from work, friends, people I'd met on buses, because yes, I absolutely talk to strangers on public transport. And they'd all make friends and we'd have these hilarious, shouty, glorious and intimate lunch hours, which were stupidly magical. Anyway, I miss that and I want to do shit like that again. So I did it. Last night was our inaugural Coven of Glorious Hags event. I'm planning on them being monthly with a running list of different adventures and missions that we will undertake. Current list of ideas include a full moon women's circle on the beach, paint and sip class, an afternoon at the spa, sacred dance and drumming workshops and concerts, all the good stuff. And I invited about 40 rad women that I know from all over the joint. Homeschooler friends, a chick I met at a party once, a few readers, mum friends, business friends, friends of friends, old friends from 20 years ago, sisters of ex-boyfriends, ex-girlfriends of my brother. Wherever I go, I collect people and then I like to tumble them all together and see what magic happens. About a dozen of them or so could make it to our first mission. A sunset cruise on the river where everyone had to dress up like Kath and Kim. We even had a prize for the best dressed, which was a copy of our Bible, How to Be a Woman, of course. We commandeered the roof of the boat and we spent the next 2 hours dancing wildly, laughing ourselves hoarse, waving to everyone in sight, and generally being the majestic wildebeest we are. We watched the sunset and the pied cormorant's nest and the fruit bats begin their nightly migration. And as we danced under the stars above the river, I thought, this is what life is for. This is what friendship is for. It's not for being Facebook friends. It's for real life. It's for dancing and laughing and celebrating this ridiculous and glorious and hard and scrumptious life. I'll admit it, I'm very tired and sore afterwards, but it was worth it. My lungs hurt from laughing like a drain, my thigh muscles ached from the honour of shaking that booty, and my heart is stretched from holding all that love. I can't wait for the next one. This is what we were born to do. We must stitch ourselves back together with laughter and with dance and with each other. I would like to say, I really wondered about whether I should even talk about this during pandemic times. Most of the world is still in lockdown and here's this dickhead gallivanting about on boats, sweating all over people. So here in Australia, we have mostly eliminated COVID through short, strict mandatory lockdowns, supported by state border lockdowns and mandatory quarantining for travellers and widespread testing. It's thoroughly and carefully managed and we now have very little to no community transmission. Life is almost normal as long as you don't have to travel, so we've been able to return to dancing on riverboat ways. I mean, I definitely considered not sharing my lockdown experiences, my non-lockdown experiences, in compassion for people who are still in lockdown. I totally get that it could be triggering for some. But where I've ended up, though, is this. I don't want to hide my experiences. I want to still record and celebrate and be grateful for these miracles. And my deepest hope is that it brings you some inspiration and knowing that there is light at the end of the tunnel. One day lockdown will be a distant memory and you too will be out under the stars, flying like a fruit bat and shaking with light.